Right, here we are, just coming down to the Hepburn Mineral Springs Reserve. On the right hand side where those clump of trees are, you can see a blue sign. That's sort of where that early spring that was so famous was coming out of the ground. And that's why the pavilion's there, because the water was fed into the pavilion. And that story I was telling you about the mineral water and the mining stopping the mineral water. So they just built this wonderful new pavilion and suddenly there's no water. So it really was a bit of a disaster. We'll go on down a bit further now. Okay, here we are down at the pavilion and the cafe area that was extended sometime later on, and then around to the park area. Now if you'd come here in 1850s, this whole green area was like a hole that had been completely washed away and worked away as the miners came from the creek to the left hand side across towards the wall over here. And around here there used to be just a simple spring. The water was gathering in a hole, a bit like that idea of the bucket, concentrating the water. And it was a local bloke up the road that actually applied to have the spring protected, because he could see it wouldn't be long before the mining would completely destroy this whole area. Now up here at the back of the pavilion, you can see that rock wall on the left hand side. So you can imagine the hill used to come right down here to the creek, and that's sort of where the miners were heading, towards that cliff, and they would have kept on going, and who knows what the result might have been. Okay, here we are at the other end of the Springs Reserve. The bathhouse just over there. Bathhouse uses mineral water. Really Daylesford, you come to Daylesford and Hepburn on the weekend, it seems that half of Melbourne comes here. It's a bit of a mixed blessing, but our local economy is really reliant on tourism, and all that tourism really is based way back in the 1850s when that bloke up the road decided to do something about protecting the spring here. So the challenge that we're facing here in our community, much like other places in Victoria, central Victoria particularly, are that there's gold mining leases being proposed, explorations all over the place, and we've really got to wonder what is the net benefit of gold to Victorians. We seem to have forgotten that this mineral water is already a resource, a wonderful resource that is providing jobs, part of our culture, part of our heritage. It's part of First Nations people's story as well. It seems that we need to balance that need to protect this against the challenge of quick money by new gold mines. I think, well, I hope we've learnt through our journey from the Great Dividing Range. It's all about the geology. It's a fine balance, how that water comes all this way down through this area, and then it keeps going down to the Loddon. It's in a natural balance that we just can't risk upsetting. And certainly a modern deep mine underground is going to go so much deeper than that mine we just saw up the road in 1900s that stopped the water here. So we need to stand up and ask our government to exempt the entire mineral water aquifer in particular from any mining operation. Now it's really only a very simple extra step, because you might have heard about the new national park the state government are going to create in Wombat and Lerderberg. Now, when they are proclaimed, which is not meant to be far away, that will exempt that area from any possible mining. Unfortunately, mineral water and the aquifer doesn't quite respect the lines that a government might draw on a map. So we're just asking to take that extra step to think about where the aquifer actually extends to, and we have a pretty good idea where that is, and just exempt that little bit outside those new proposed national parks. Look, I'm just coming back up from the bathhouse. It just dawned on me that across here, remember I mentioned that bloke in the 1850s, the one that protected the mineral spring back then? He lived here in this area, not in this house, but this is the house that my family and I chose to buy back in the 80s. And here am I trying to assist to do exactly the same thing.